Alabama has been producing NFL running back after NFL running back. In the 2022 NFL Draft, we're going to see Brian Robinson likely taken as a Day 2 selection. That trend is likely going to continue in 2023. Tide have some great returning players such as Roydell Williams, Jace McClellan, and Trey Sanders, but a guy they picked up from the transfer portal will be better than all three of those guys. I think will be a first-round pick next year and has a chance at winning the Heisman Trophy. Yes, you might be familiar with this guy, but you might not. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to who he is, how his college career has gone so far, and why this transfer could end up changing the season. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. Last spring, I made a video about how Jameson Williams was a season-changing transfer for the Tide, and that ended up happening. I'm going to make that same bold prediction for Jahmyr Gibbs. If you don't know him, he's been a running back at Georgia Tech for the last 2 years, and he is now transferred to Nick Saban's offense this spring. But who is Jahmyr Gibbs? Going back in time, Gibbs was always a natural athlete, but football was not his first sport. He said, quote, "When I was little, I played basketball first. Then I ran track. I did all those three until my sophomore year, and then I decided to keep playing football." He eventually put all his time and energy into the sport and had some very lofty role models. Those included Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Marshall Faulk, and Ja'Marr Chase. He became the starter for his high school as a sophomore and ran for over 800 yards. He was introduced to the national recruiting world that same year as he played on national television against Justin Fields, and he was a great player, but not a prodigy by any means. For quite a long time, he was just your typical 3-star running back at Dalton High School in Georgia, but after one huge season, he blew up into a top 100 player. He ran for over 1,400 yards and 20 touchdowns as a junior, did well at camps, and impressed coaches with his personality. That's why he chose to stay home and play for the Power 5 local school, Georgia Tech. In May of 2019, he chose the Yellow Jackets over the likes of North Carolina and Michigan, but as I said, he was only a 3-star prospect then and a diamond in the rough. They had found one of those hidden gems, but pretty soon Gibbs began to shine, and many wondered if he was destined to play at an even higher level. He took his play to the next gear his senior year as he led the entire state of Georgia with 2,554 rushing yards and 40 touchdowns. This happened in the 2019 season, and he became a blue chip recruit from there, but that process did not just come from natural skill alone. His coach said, quote, "Jahmyr played last year at 175 pounds, but he was determined to make himself the best he could possibly be, so he worked to add 20 pounds of muscle this offseason. What he's done is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He's gotten bigger and faster. He could always run outside, but now he's just as good between the tackles." That hard work paid off as he gained over 28 scholarship offers from schools such as Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, LSU, and USC. He took many official visits there and considered pretty much every school. Some thought he would flip, others thought he would stay loyal. So, what would he do? Well, he had a signing day ceremony and sat at a table with 3 hats. One from LSU, one from Florida State, and one from Georgia Tech. He'd pick one of those hats. Which one would it be? Well, he made the crazy choice to stay a Yellow Jacket. And why did he do this? He had one reason. Quote, "The coaching staff. They have a lot of energy and I vibe with all the players. They were cool and nobody was like, who is this dude or what is he doing here? Everybody was nice and it is like I've already been there. Coach Jeff Collins and Coach Tashard Choice are great people. Coach Choice began recruiting me my junior year and stayed on me." So my takeaway from that is that he was loyal to the first big school that pursued him and he loved the family atmosphere and culture of Georgia Tech. This also paid dividends to Jeff Collins. This was by far his biggest recruiting win as a head coach, and he was going to get a chance to play right away with the Yellow Jackets in 2020, but with that came extremely high expectations from both the fan base and the college football world. Despite those expectations and big offers, Gibbs wanted to represent a school with class, and that is why his coach was not at all surprised he stuck with Collins. His coach said, quote, "Considering the type of person Jahmyr is, I wasn't surprised he decided to stay with Georgia Tech and Coach Collins. He felt very comfortable with the coaches, the players, and what they represent. He's going to do great things there." That pretty much sums it all up, and he was a big deal according to 24/7 Sports. He was a 4-star recruit, the number 8 running back, and the 76th best player in the class of 2020. Now, it was time for him to see the field. He would arrive as part of a 1-2 punch that included fellow running back Jordan Mason. Gibbs would have a really special freshman year. In his first game against UCF, he ran for 66 yards and had his first career touchdown. In week 2 against Syracuse, he had his first 100-yard game and also had a receiving score. While he did struggle in his next 4 games, he went out in 2020 with a bang. In a win over Duke, he ran the ball 6 times for 91 yards and had 2 touchdowns in the process. He's also a factor in the passing game. Unfortunately, he'd go down with an injury, and this would end his season after only 7 games. How would he do? Well, he ran the ball 89 times for 460 yards and 4 touchdowns, while also catching 24 passes for 300 yards and 3 scores. Not only did he do that, but he also returned kicks and punts and was a guy who was featured in trick plays. After that freshman year, he became only the 7th Power 5 player since the year 2000 to have 450 rushing yards, 300 receiving yards, and 200 kick return yards in a team's first 8 games. The tone was set. After that injury, he had this to say about the program heading into 2021. Quote, "It was fun, but the season didn't go the way we wanted it to go. This year we made big improvements from last year. We got transfers that are better, we got better games, we got more discipline too." That take didn't go so well, as Georgia Tech did not do very well in 2021. Gibbs himself did, but after a Week 1 home loss to Northern Illinois, the season was already basically over. They did almost beat Clemson in Week 3, but really the only notable moment of the year came as they upset number 21 North Carolina, who ended up not even being that good. Gibbs, on the other hand, was a star. He was seemingly the top option in every single game, despite pretty limited carries. He ended up finishing with 746 yards rushing, with 4 touchdowns on the ground. He also caught 35 passes for 500 yards and 2 scores, and once again returned both kicks and punts. We also have to remember that Georgia Tech was abysmal. They ended up going 3-9, the offensive line was terrible, and the offense did not perform. So everyone knew where the ball was going, and Gibbs still managed to put up great numbers. He was rewarded for that, as he was named an All-American as an all-purpose player. He led the ACC with an average of 150.4 all-purpose yards per game, and he scored a touchdown in 3 different ways. He's one of those guys that literally did everything despite having nothing working with him, and that's why big-time programs wanted him. He saw the writing on the wall, and eventually decided to enter the transfer portal. I assume pretty much every school in the nation went after him, but pretty quickly he found himself at home at Alabama and committed to Coach Nick Saban. He'll join a running back room that includes 2 freshmen, Roydell Williams, Jace McClellan, and Trey Sanders, but I think Gibbs will be the starter. One scout had this to say about his fit at Bama. Quote, "Gibbs is a true multi-dimensional weapon who has the ability to thrive in a multitude of roles in Tuscaloosa." In addition to his work as a running back, Gibbs had 768 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns in 2 years, and had 794 yards as a kickoff returner. Even if Gibbs isn't used as a primary running back, expect offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien to get him involved in many ways. Basically, he will be Alabama's version of a Swiss Army knife. That, in my opinion, means he'll be doing everything, making a ton of highlight plays, and has the opportunity to win the Heisman Trophy. Yes, that's an extremely bold prediction, but Bama is the best team in the nation this year, and they have the best weapons and best coaching, so if he can just stand out in that offense, make a ton of great plays, and perform, he'll not only be a first-round pick, but he'll likely be a Heisman finalist with the opportunity to take home the award. I mean, Derrick Henry did it back in 2015, so why not Gibbs? Either way, I'm super excited to see what he's going to do in the Alabama offense, and either he'll be there for 1 year or 2 years, but it's going to be great either way. What do you guys think, though? If you're an Alabama fan, what do you think of this year's running back room? What do you think of Gibbs? And what's another transfer or topic I could take a look at in my next video? Be sure to let me know down below, smash that like button if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.